Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Amoeba podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
First, you must follow the rules of 5,643. You must always praise me.
Too many rules.
But you...
Maybe I should put you back.
Fool, when you praise me back, you must put me face down.
Fool! Also, not a fool, Ryan Stokely.
Hey, I'll take a compliment when I can get one.
Okay.
Even if it's kind of backhanded.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh?
So, Brandon, we had a delicious time at the Renaissance Fair.
I want more meat cone.
Yes. Hopefully I'll have the finalized video edited down by the time this video goes up. Even though it's been 2 weeks since we've been at the Renaissance Fair, this anime has been giving me lots of non-free time.
Free times for losers.
Yes.
Anime should be all your free time.
Well, with this podcast, watching at least 26 episodes a week, yeah, this is my job now. So,
Is it really so bad, though?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Until we watch something along the lines of Casher and Sins again. And we hate everything.
Yes.
That is the worst.
So, do you want to talk about some of the stuff we saw?
Do we want to talk about the Woo Master?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
And how the entire
weather?
show is just an innuendo after innuendo after innuendo.
Was he the one that did Sexual Caterpillar?
Yeah, no. He was the one that was going to do the most dangerous trick in the world.
Oh, yes. With all the placements of a cucumber.
On a female. On a female volunteer.
And then eventually stuffing it in a guy's kilt.
In his brother's kilt, I'm sorry. Because he brought two members of the audience in. One was a woman, and the other one was, I believe, her boyfriend, who he turned into his brother. His effeminate brother, because he wore a feather boa. He wore a kilt to be Scottish. He wore long hair because... Fuck, what was his name? It was something McManley was his name. Connor McManley was the name going by. And he's like, and the guy's name was Dave. It's like, Dave, you're gonna be my brother. You can be my brother, Dave McManley. Here, you need to wear a kilt so you can be Scottish like me. Oh, you also need to wear this wig. Can have long hair like me. Oh, be my effeminate brother. Wear this feather boa. And it was amazing at how many innuendos you could slam together in quick succession. Like, it was so impressive. Like, he had a rubber chicken, he's just like, here, hold my cock.
Yeah, so a lot of these shows that we saw, well, all of them weren't that kid-friendly.
They were quote-unquote asterisk shows. In other words, 17 and up.
Okay.
Oh my god. It was even great when you see, the people leaving with their kids because they apparently must not have realized what was going on. And they're just, telling jokes at the people as they leave. Just oh no, don't worry, you're doing the right thing. Kids shouldn't be here to see this. Especially not my big fat cock over here.
Wow.
And he was saying, oh, how old are you? 14? You might be good.
You might be okay with this. We don't know. Oh my god. Oh.
And we did some Ninja Star throwing, and I actually won a prize.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, motherfucker won a prize. I wasted about $9 trying to win, and I failed each and every time.
And
Even though last year I was literally an eighth of an inch off.
And so close, but not close enough.
So mad.
And apparently, the coin that I won turned me into Smeagol, which sounded more Yoda than Smeagol.
Yeah, you can't do a good Gollum impression.
But I can do Yoda! Yes!
Yeah, the way you're doing your voice makes it sound more like Yoda.
So I was like hobbling around like Smeagol being Yoda.
It's like Gollum painted himself green and started doing a Yoda impression.
The biggest thing that I was mad about was there was a craft soda place there last year, but it wasn't there.
Yeah, it sucks. They had homemade sodas and they weren't there this time. I wonder if it just switches out every other weekend or something the way the shows do or not.
Maybe?
Oh, man. Well, no. Let's also get back on the other show we watched, which was, it was, the first one we saw, which led into the next one. The first one was called Consider Thou This, right? Where it was like Dr. John something or other, who was supposedly Henry VIII's mentor, and Leonardo da Vinci.
William Shakespeare.
He wasn't William Shakespeare.
Oh.
No. It was Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
And Dr. John something or other, that was, like I said, Henry VIII's mentor. And they're just up there giving like these really dry comedic stuff to the point where it's like, oh, that's the like one of them was like, that's the name of my sex tape. I get down, but I never get back up. Like one of the other lines that they gave out was like, how did he put it? It was something along the lines of like, okay, we're gonna give you something to consider, right? We're gonna tell you the joke, and then you're gonna consider that stuff after you leave the show. And in this case, it was, if you substitute the word fuck in a joke for anything else, in this case, hug, it makes the joke funnier the more you go along. So, for instance, the guy started telling the joke where it's like, all right, they're taking a tour through a hospital, and one of the women that's in the tour sees, like, this guy hugging himself, so to speak. And they're like, what is he hugging himself for? That's not right. This is a hospital. And the guy that's leading the tour is, no, he needs to do that like every so often, otherwise, you know, it builds up and nothing's gonna go right. It becomes a problem. And the woman that's there is like, oh, okay, all right, I understand. And they get past like the next one, where it's a nurse orally hugging a patient, and she's all freaking out about it. Now, please, audience, imagine what orally hugging someone is like. Just that image in my mind of like, how does that work, though?
And the third show we saw spent the first 20 minutes coming up with porn names for normal movies.
Like, the whole concept of it was the idea that, well, Pornhub's getting a lot of bootleg movies shoved on there, and like, real movies shoved on there, but with pornographic titles. So throw some movies at us and we'll come up with pornographic titles for them.
Yeah, I think they put The Big Sick on there. With
what was Finding Nemo? Because somebody thought Finding Nemo was one, and it was like,
Disabled Boy Gets Wet.
Wow.
There was also the pterodactyl porn.
Oh yes, pterodactyl porn.
Where the guy's like, look, alright, so you're on Pornhub, right? And you're like scrolling through the things, and you just find this thing that says pterodactyl porn, and you're just so confused by it, you need to see what it is. And then by the end of it, you're just like, well, I did that after finishing your load. Like, the shame comes over you after you finish. And I'm just like, oh my god, what the hell? This is great. This is amazing and horrible at the same time.
Oh, damn.
Well, which one was Sexual Caterpillar? Because that was a title for something, and I forget what it was.
Oh, I completely forget.
Like, they came up with it, and it was the title for one, and I forget what it was.
And then a parade went by with
it had like a Chinese dragon in there. You know, the Chinese dragon that they throw on parades?
Yeah.
And the guy that came up with Sexual Caterpillar just ran after it and started, like, humping the caterpillar as he went.
And what made it extra funny was these three hosts were in their 50s-ish.
And the guy that ran was like a really heavy set guy. And like, wow, he's moving real fast. For his size. Holy shit.
Oh, damn.
Oh my god. Orion, you need to come along the next time. It's amazing to watch
Yeah,
these shows.
I've never been.
Anything else we want to get to?
I know we mentioned it in in our lovely Let's Plays, but do we want to cover the horror that I showed you? For people that listen to this and not Let's Plays.
Well, I think that video will be going up in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Like I said, some people might listen to this and not watch the Let's Plays.
Okay.
This is why I'm mentioning maybe you want to talk about it. I know you don't want to remember.
No! Please! Please exit this thought from my mind!
No, it's gonna be there forever. It's gonna be there along with Fanboy and Chum Chum. You're welcome. You're welcome. I saw it first and I suffered, therefore you must as well. Sharing my pain.
You introduced me to Mega Babies.
Yes. Yes, I did.
That is the most
Such a wholesome show.
disturbing thing they've
For
seen in
kids.
quite some time.
For kids.
Yes, for kids. With skyscrapers of fecal matter.
Now. The fecal matter is in diapers. It's not exposed.
Yes, but it's like... Okay, maybe skyscraper size is a
Oh no,
little
you're not wrong. It is.
bit...
Like, they go from the bottom of a tower up above the top of the tower, breaking through the fucking ceiling. And that's just the intro.
No. No.
Not to mention, if you slow down the intro and actually watch what they look like before they go through the quote-unquote transformation, it's literally just Dib, Dee Dee, and Tommy Pickles.
You must suffer with us, all 3 people. Go! Go watch it. Go.
I watched 2 minutes of it. It's not that bad.
2 minutes. Go through a whole episode. Come back to me after that.
So...
With their apparent giant muscly arms and bulging veins.
The bulging veins. Oh my god. No. No.
That for some reason are disturbingly different color than their skin.
No. Please no. Please no.
Like yellow skin, but bright pink veins. Real weird.
Oh god. I have to erase my brain somehow.
Would you like some brain bleach?
No, I'd rather talk about today's anime so I can forget about all the bad things.
Make all the bad things go away, anime, please!
Yes.
Kaishin Sins comes up. No,
No!
don't do anything with that!
No!
Oh, go back to Mega Babies!
So, following through our Halloween, this is less scary and, for the most part, more comedic. Orion.
Thematically appropriate, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Brandon?
Thematically appropriate, though, for Halloween.
Oh yes, very appropriate for Halloween. So, Orion, today's anime, Soul Eater.
Soul Eater.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, probably about demons or something.
Not far off.
Ghouls, sacrificing, maybe like a professional eater that eats souls on his off time to get good.
Casual snack.
Yeah. He does that to get good at eating so much food. I don't know.
Well, Brandon, since you more introduced me to the show, which I absolutely loved. I think you should drop the description.
Let me. How do you actually want to describe this? Because it's such a weird thing to think about.
I would describe it as people that turn into weapons and their human partners fight off monsters, demons, and whatnot in order to stop insanity from taking over the planet.
And
That's not a bad way of doing it.
what,
Keeping order from madness would be another good way to say it.
Okay. Yes, Ryan.
So, like, what are the other things? Just like, this creatures and shit from another realm?
Well,
Basically?
part of the idea, right, is that if a normal human were to eat souls, it would corrupt them from the inside out, and it would basically mutate them. Hence, why these weapons and masters come in to eliminate those who are corrupted.
Like as we see in the second episode, Al Capone.
I forgot it was Capone.
Except in the Japanese version, they pronounce it Capone, which I'm not too sure if it was supposed to actually be Al Capone, or is that just the Japanese pronunciation?
That's a good point. I just thought it was Capone. I don't recall. It could just be the pronunciation.
And our main heroes of it is Maka and her scythe named Soul, who are like the mainest of the main characters. The ultimate assassin, Black Star, and his oh my god. And his kunai is she? Would that be
She changes a lot. She's got a couple of different forms. Like, she goes from a kunai to a shuriken to a sword
to a knife?
To the chain thing. I forget what it's called.
I think kunai is the chain thing.
No, kunai is the knife.
Oh.
It's like Kusuraguchi or something like that.
Kunai with chain.
It's the hoe, with the chain on the end of it. You know, the one that ninjas used to use.
Oh,
back in the
okay.
day.
Yeah, but kunai with chain, like, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's a miss one. That's a mistranslation. It's not right. Because that is not a normal kunai.
Okay. And Death's
Damn it, Joey.
son, who has two sisters that can turn into guns.
Twin pistols!
Yeah. And let's just say he is more than a little OCD.
Everything must be symmetrical. Literally, the first time you meet him, he gets into a fight and just has a mental breakdown over whether or not he has the right number of toilet paper sheets rolled off the roll.
And he's complaining that the sister guns do not have equal sized breasts.
You're not exactly perfectly even. One has bigger breasts than the other.
As he's groping them both.
I mean, he gets his comeuppance. They smash his head in pretty hard.
Oh, so where do we want to go from here?
We could just kind of... Do we want to talk about... Well, here's the thing, right? So the weapons, right? Their whole point is to become death sides, and by doing that, they need to consume 99 corrupted souls, and then a witch's soul. And witches are a separate species from this, but they're always female, and they always have, like, an animal counterpart to go along with them. Like an animal theme, I should say, for each specific witch. So, our first episode is literally Maka and Soul trying to take down what they think is a witch, but it just turns out to be a really magically powerful cat.
Wait. What about a cat? It's magical?
Yes,
Yes.
the cat is magical, but it's not a witch. Because a
Although-
witch is a separate species.
Although the cat can turn itself into a human.
Yeah.
Are there, like, robots in this at all?
I think there was one robotic
Okay.
adversary.
I don't recall for certain. Oh, no, I know what you're talking. Yes. Okay, yes, I know. I remember what you're talking about now. Yes. Although, because I'm also like read the manga, I'm gonna say that's also not technically the case as well. Like the manga and the anime tend to diverge about halfway through season 2, which is for the anime the final season.
And
Okay.
from what you say, the manga adds like 2 or 3 arcs on after the anime is finished.
Yes. Not to mention that season 2 ends completely differently.
Oh, interesting. Would you say, like the past 2 series, the manga is better?
Yes.
Hmm.
And a lot of that, like, I feel like the way that they were writing season 2, it could have gone really well. It's the last 2 episodes that feel like they have a lot of ass pulls in them.
Yeah, the final fight seemed a little bit rushed.
Yeah, that's my only real complaint. Like, if they could have ended it a bit better, I would say it's great. It's a good alternative. But because of the way that the final 2 episodes go down, I can't say it's... That's lovely.
Everything okay?
Yeah, stuff just dropped. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'll
The
fix
base
it later.
drop.
I'll fix it later. Yeah, I'd say that the manga is the better one to go with, just because there's stuff that's more fleshed out in there. Certain characters last longer than they do in the anime, and it kind of builds out who and what they are, and kind of their whole main goal to begin with.
But is Maka's dad still a skirt chaser?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, you miss it. There's a whole point where he throws a cabaret club party inside a freaking Death Sama's freaking office inside of there.
What?
Oh yeah, no, you don't think that he does that?
Oh.
Death isn't happy about it either.
Does he pull out the death chop?
Yes, multiple times.
Oh my god. Well, we have a Dr. Frankenstein who is slowly going insane through the series.
Which he does not do in the manga. He goes almost completely insane by the end, but like during the course of season 2. But because of the way it diverges, things play out differently in the manga.
Huh.
They catch it before he goes completely out of control.
Interesting.
But let's like jump ahead then to like the ending of season 1, which is basically shit. The witch Medusa who infiltrated our school has now injected this evil demon that was sealed underneath the school with a cursed black blood in order to revive him.
What the hell?
Yeah.
The
Sounds
black
great, right?
blood of curses that her son or daughter or ambiguous child.
Mostly ambiguous child.
Although the English dub says he, but the director clarifies that they meant he as in all of mankind, not he as in male.
Yeah, the gender in the manga flip-flops based on the translation you're reading. It's never an official, is it a male or female?
I believe the subtitles didn't say he or she.
Yeah, we don't have a gender. Granted, it's not like specifically important. Other than that, we can more or less confirm that she or he or whatever is not a witch. That's the only thing that needs any kind of confirmation.
Yes.
Because again, humans and witches are 2 separate species.
And Medusa's kid, named Krona, has a weapon of their own that's embedded within their body.
Yeah, or you see, he has the sword Ragnarok. Ragnarok has literally been melted down and mixed into the black blood that's injected inside of Krona.
So Krona can summon Ragnarok from his back in its corporeal form and then have it interacting with people, blocking attacks, like protecting Krona's back, and then turn into sword form.
Well, let's not forget the fact that the blood can also harden.
Oh yeah.
Become essentially like a steel shield almost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
It also reinforces her own body, right? Because, like, you try to attack, and it's like, no, this blood is literally solid in my veins right now. It's not gonna... It's like you're attacking iron ramrods.
Mm-hmm. And can we point out that early on, during their first fight, Soul gets infected with the black blood.
The first encounter with Krona, which I believe is like episode 3 or 4, they, Soul gets infected with the black blood.
It may be a little bit farther along, because 4 and 5 were their, extracurricular activities.
I was thinking sooner.
No, because the first 3 episodes introduce you to Blackstar, Maka, and Kid. And then number 4 and 5, I think they went to fight Frankenstein. And then I think it was like 6 or 7 when they eventually met.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they have to get through Stein's test and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's point out that Stein has a giant bolt through his head.
That he just casually keeps twisting.
Yep.
Oh, can we just talk about the greatest character in this anime? Excalibur!
The most infuriating character. Alright, so let me put it this way. He is the strongest weapon to ever exist, but, well, that, and he can, the way souls and masters work, they have to resonate their soul frequency with each other. Which, you have to have the right partner and practice to be able to do that. Excalibur can just do that on his own. He can resonate with anyone. He doesn't give a fuck. Thing is, you gotta put up with his, almost 10,000 levels of rule bullshit. And his fucking obnoxious attitude.
And I must have tea in the morning and coffee in the afternoon. What do you think?
There's literally an episode where there is a character who manages to do it. All the way up until a certain thing bothers him to the point that he can't deal with it anymore. But it has nothing to do with the rules. It's literally just Excalibur sneezing that drives him insane.
Just the way Excalibur sneezes, this guy just can't stand.
But he puts up with, the 10,000 ridiculous rules. You must always walk 3 paces behind Excalibur. You must always praise Excalibur. You must wake up early in the morning with morning calisthenics to do with Excalibur. You must compose poems for Excalibur.
You must listen to 5-hour monologues from Excalibur.
I still want to know why Death gave him a classroom to do that. Because he gets a classroom where he monologues for 5 hours, and you just see as the time goes on, less and less people are there until it's only the guy that's trying to use him.
And just happily scrolling notes.
And this kid used to be a piece of shit before. He was the weakest person there, and he grabs Excalibur, and because he can put up with his horseshit, he's suddenly a king of the world. And it's only because nobody can do anything to stop him. He literally just walks into the girls' changing room and is just like, I see. You all see how great I am now, don't you? As he's, nose bleeding calmly.
Oh.
And as he, walks out, you just see them throwing shit like shoes at him.
And so they defeat Medusa, but not 100%. Since you find out she put her soul into one of her snakes and infected a 8-year-old girl with her soul. Now there's a 8-year-old Medusa running around being all evil, and she is adorable as hell.
What kind of girl is it, dude?
What
Is
kind
it that?
Krona?
Yeah.
Yes.
What about her?
Don't you have a thing for a certain type of,
Tsundere? No.
Yeah.
Krona
She is not a tsundere.
Okay.
Although, by the end of the series, I like Maka a lot more, and Maka is kind of tsundere, but I like Maka for other reasons.
She's like a light version of tsundere.
I kind of like the struggle that she and Soul went through more so than the other characters.
I mean, part of the problem is, right, Maka's the main focus for the anime. As far as the manga goes, they focus on Death the Kid and Black Star a lot more.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I mentioned this to you the last time we talked, but Black Star has a whole section that the anime doesn't cover. It's like a little mini arc where he's out trying to learn how to take on, like, the forbidden sword that Tsubaki gains as a form. And rather than us really getting much of that in the anime, there's like 2 scenes where he's talking to that zebra deer thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's a whole mini arc of him coming to terms with dealing with that thing and mastering it.
And Black Star, although he claims to be an assassin, I would say he's Naruto +5.
He's real loud.
Here I come! I'm going to sneak up on you!
He's also claiming he's going to surpass God.
Several times.
Now, the manga, after he goes through that little mini training arc, he becomes far more mature. I'll be honest. Don't get me wrong, he still has those goals in mind, and he still has his moments of stupidity, but he is nowhere near the screaming idiot he is in the manga, or in the anime. After that little mini arc, he matures way more.
How old are the kids?
14-ish?
14 to 15, right in there.
And I was just wondering, how is Soul a weapon? I mean, did he have parents that could turn into weapons?
Well, yeah, don't you remember the explanation for how the death weapons came to be? Or the demon weapons?
I forget that.
Arachne created them by sacrificing off other witches and infusing their souls into humans and weapons and fusing them together.
Oh, okay.
So it became a genealogical family thing. Like, Tsubaki's entire family has that whole setup with that forbidden blade and everything. However, due to, the 2 children that were born rather than just a single child, it got split. And we had that whole episode of her having to, kill her own brother.
Mm-hmm. And since Maka is half weapon, she can change her arms into scythes, too.
Here's the other thing with that, actually. I feel like I need to point this out. Only Death Scythes can do that. Where they can half transform like that.
Really?
Yeah. As far as I've seen, I don't think any other, regular weapons can half transform like that.
Interesting.
So, even if Maka's a half-breed, I don't understand how she can do that.
Well, her father was a Death Scythe.
Yeah, but that doesn't transfer down as far as I'm aware. Granted, they're the only example of that in the entirety of the series. Also, never expect to meet Maka's mother. She's just somewhere outside of the manga that we don't know about.
She does not get along with Maka's father.
Okay.
She got tired of his skirt chasing and left. Now, why Maka never visits and we never get a little scene of that, I don't know, but, never shows up.
I'm just trying to bring up our favorite scenes, but I don't know how to segue into it without being so abrupt.
Which part?
Pumpkin panties!
Oh my god. Alright, so there's a point where Medusa ends up coming in because she can't fight Arachne, who is another witch that has come onto the scene that's causing all sorts of issues.
And this is season 2, so Medusa is a child at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she comes in to Death and is just like, look, I want to negotiate with you. Death just picks her up by, the hooded sweatshirt that she's wearing, and the bloomers she has underneath are showing, and you just see Maka's dad being like, pumpkin panties! Maka used to wear these when she was 8 too! And it's constantly just a thing where Medusa gets pissed, yells to be put down, Death puts her down, and then picks her back up after she starts getting cocky again, and you just have Maka's death doing the exact same thing with the panties. Like, it just keeps repeating in this really stupid way. And for whatever reason, it's hilarious.
Like I said, except for, like, certain parts of this anime, it's 80% comedy. 70%.
Well, let me put it out this way. There's one thing we forgot to mention. So, when the Kishin, which is like this demon of madness that was sealed beneath the school, gets out, it starts infecting the world with madness. Like, it's almost like an aura that starts enveloping the world. So it starts causing, like, normal people to go insane.
Which affects our dear Dr. Stein.
Quite badly, and Medusa doesn't make it better by more or less poisoning him with more madness on top of it. You also get to meet Mary Mjolnir.
Now, who was she supposed to be? Because I know they had, like, Medusa, Frankenstein. Was she anybody from horror or not?
No, but Mjolnir is Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, she's the hammer weapon.
Oh, okay.
Although, granted, she looks more like a Tonfa in weapon form than an actual hammer. But yeah, she shows up. She ends up becoming a teacher for a while and trying to pair up with Stein. And because she has, like, the way her soul is set up, it's more of like a healing aura. It was meant to, like, help reduce the speed at which, actually reduce and even potentially reverse the speed at which the insanity in Stein was growing. Unfortunately, Medusa shoves a snake down her throat secretly, and whenever she syncs up with Stein, it starts making it worse rather than healing him, to the point where he just is reduced to a giggling fit of insanity at, like, crucial moments.
This does have some creepy visuals.
That's one of the things I really like about this. They love to go off-model with their characters just to, impress upon you the insanity that's there. Not to mention crazy hallucinations that happen once you start, like, losing yourself to madness.
And there's Soul's whole inner world with the piano.
Yeah. The manga goes more in depth with that. Like, what is Soul's last name?
Evans.
Yes. What do we know about the Evans? Yeah,
I don't...
Jack and shit, thanks to the anime. The manga tells you.
Huh, really? What is the backstory?
We don't get much on the parents, but we get to know about Soul's brother, who is a violinist, I believe. It was another classical instrument, but I'm pretty sure it's a violinist, who was way better than Soul at music. And Soul, from what I am able to gather, couldn't really deal with it and left to become a death scythe. Hell, there's even a really cool point. There's a point in the manga where these characters kind of get, like, a style change. Kind of like an upgraded version of themselves because they get a little older, it seems.
Okay.
So, in the case of Soul actually does become a death scythe in the manga.
But does Maka keep him?
Yes, she does.
Okay, good.
Unless Death himself would want to use Soul, he'll stay with Maka.
But isn't Maka's dad his death scythe?
Don't you remember that Mary and Azusa are also death scythes?
Oh, so Scythe isn't always Scythe. The death scythe is just the overarching name of the weapon. Okay.
It's a title.
Okay.
It's a title for once you have achieved eating 99 corrupted souls and then the witch's soul.
Oh, okay.
Like, you've earned that title by doing that.
Okay, now I understand.
Like, Azusa's literally just a heavy crossbow.
But how could Death wield so many weapons at once?
Because once you become a death scythe, I believe you can start resonating with anyone.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean by resonating? Or is
it's essentially
the actual meaning of resonating?
Resonating essentially means that your souls can more or less work together. Think of it like two gears meeting up and synchronizing. You know, each tooth going into the gap of the other one, like that. Each one's power feeds off of the other.
And I kind of like the whole two blobs converging visualization.
Yeah, like what you get to see when they start resonating is that you have like the two like soul orbs and like them getting closer together, and that you just see like an electricity sparking between the two as they get closer and closer until they end up touching each other.
Kind of like sex.
I mean, that's the way Maka's dad would look at it.
And wasn't early on, he was saying to Soul, like, don't you try anything with Maka? And Soul said, like, wait, why would I? Like, how dare you? Maka's attractive!
But she's flat-chested. What was I gonna say? Yeah, but Soul does become a death scythe, to the point where it gets interesting. Like, he can spawn, like, the scythe blade out of, like, his arm, and on top of it, there's, like, a keyboard. Like an electric keyboard-looking thing. I think you can just play on that.
Huh. Interesting.
It's a really cool concept that I never would have thought of until I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's such a neat idea! So, let's skip ahead to the end of Season 2 real quick, and just put it this way. So, Arachne, who's that second witch that shows up for Season 2 and starts making things worse, ends up trying to make the Kishin, the demon madness god, like her pet. The whole thing is the Kishin himself is like the embodiment of fear. Like, he is paranoid as fuck about everything. So Arachne's there trying to, like, settle him down, be like a mother to him, try to make sure he's safe and all of that in order to use him. To the point where we get her entire castle becoming a giant spider robot.
Oh, and then the mech battle.
Yeah. Which, again, does not happen in the manga.
What?
That does not happen.
No! That was awesome!
Does not happen.
Why? Why doesn't it happen? That was completely...
Because they have a far more interesting idea.
What?
There's a way more interesting... Like, it's not as ridiculously crazy as the mech battle, but it's a way more interesting idea.
Please, share.
Well, first let's finish up this part,
Okay.
and then I'll start sharing differences. So we have a mech battle at this point, because the Kishin realizes what she's doing, and just kills her, and leaves. Meanwhile, we have this battle between a giant spider robot and what ends up becoming the Death City robot, which is literally just the city on giant freaking, like, robot legs and arms. Because Death cannot leave the city. He has locked himself to that place. So the other option is to just lift up the city and move the city by making it a giant robot, apparently, is the idea. So we have a giant, ridiculous mech battle going on between the two.
And Excalibur summons himself into Death's main area and making everybody very uncomfortable.
Hold on, let me just grab this for a second, just so I can share with Orion exactly what everyone feels like when they see him. Like, whenever he starts talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So when everybody starts putting up with Excalibur, this is the freaking face they start making.
Oh, Excalibur face.
Like, nobody can handle it. They all get that face.
Which
He's
one
so
am I?
obnoxious.
Which one am I looking at?
Both of them.
They both have the same face.
What the hell?
Like, that is the face you make when you see Excalibur, and exclusively when you start putting up with Excalibur. That is the only time in this series that face shows up. Because nobody can deal with him.
Even the fairies that maintain the surroundings?
They can't deal with it. Oh my god. Alright, so we have the whole battle. Excalibur's there just to watch and see what happens. Eventually it becomes just, like, down to Maka, Soul, Kid, and Black Star and their weapons to take down the Kishin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the ass pulls come in. So, Black Star fights, yada yada yada, fun stuff. He's gotten enough development so that you can kind of understand where he's coming from, even if it's not as in-depth as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
You get Kid, who activates the lines of Sauza, or Senza. I forget exactly what the pronunciation is. And that comes out of nowhere. I can tell you exactly what those things are for, because the manga explains it, and he doesn't activate all 3 of those lines immediately.
Really?
It is a gradual build-up until the end of the series.
So the lines are slowly forming throughout the series?
No. Like, he always has those 3 lines on his head. They complete this every time they complete the like, it's like a mode activation almost, right?
Okay.
So and he finishes it when he does all 3. So think of it like this. He can do, each time one of those connects, another level of his power as a Shinigami comes out, as a Death God comes out.
Okay.
Now the idea is by completing the 3rd one, he becomes a complete Death God, a complete Shinigami.
Oh.
Now, I don't want to go too much more into this until I go fully into the manga stuff, because there's a more to it than just that.
Okay.
And while the anime hints at it a little bit, it doesn't go through with it.
Oh.
Which is kind of horseshit when you realize what it actually means. And then you have Maka, who ends up coming in at the very end and using quote-unquote bravery to beat the Kishin with just a regular punch.
Oh yeah.
The worst part about this.
Because bravery is the opposite of fear. Hey!
You know, you fear something because you don't understand it. What is bravery? Why are you, like, don't get me wrong, the visuals in the fight are cool.
Yeah.
It's the concept of how they try to end it that is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it is an anticlimax to all anticlimaxes. It's great until a second later when you realize, wait, what did she actually just do?
And other than that, like I said earlier, the final fight seems a bit rushed.
It definitely feels it, because what it feels like to me, especially with the lines that they use for Kid, is that they don't know what it actually is. And they're just like, we gotta throw it in there, though. It's gotta be in there. We gotta do something with it. But they just don't know how.
Yeah.
Because, again, the manga diverged and did things differently. When this stuff's going on, right, Kid is not with everyone else, and neither is Black Star.
Oh.
Like, Maka and Soul are fighting solo.
Huh.
And, let me also point this out, they really use the black blood to an interesting effect in that fight.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Who's in the final fight then? Like, who's like the main?
The final fight for season 2? Let me say this. It's literally just Maka and Soul versus Arachne herself. And if you can't tell by the name, she's a spider witch.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, here's the way things pan out in the manga. We've kind of completed the anime more or less, you know, unless there's anything else you want to ask about that, Orion, I'll start dipping into the manga.
Okay.
Alright, you're good then?
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna start dipping into how the manga handles things. So, BJ, okay, I've told this to, Brandon already, but BJ is a character that shows up, and he's the quote-unquote, in the anime, the engineer that creates the Death City robot. Here's the difference. BJ in the anime is in fact looking for someone who betrayed the school and poisoned Mary, by that extension increased the speed at which Stein's madness went. Now, BJ gets killed as he's going through this investigation. He is assassinated and nobody knows who did it. Stein and Mary then leave because Mary's been purged of her snake. BJ found it, but by the time he, got rid of it, he couldn't tell what it was. Like, it was just ashes that Mary basically coughed up. So, Stein and Mary basically disappear for the rest of what would be season 2 after BJ's death to find out this assassin. Now, I tried to get you to guess who this was, Brandon, before. You gave me a few guesses.
And all of them were wrong.
All of them were wrong. So you tried Death, you tried Maka's dad, and I forget who the other one was that you tried. I gave you 3 shots and you were wrong on all 3 accounts. Do you want to try one more time?
No.
So, I'm going to hold off on giving you the answer at this point. Let's jump back to that final fight that we get. So Black Star, after fighting Mifune, is basically having to rest and recover. Because that fight nearly kills him.
Mm-hmm.
With that sword, with the other samurai, with the Mifune, the samurai dude.
Okay.
He nearly died. He only barely survived that, and he has to rest. Death, Kid, actually, is investigating the Book of Abon, which Arachne has, and he's trying to find out more stuff about Abon. Abon is not locked away as another secret key weapon or anything else. He does not show up.
Oh.
So remember at the Battle of the Brew where he saw that Abon in that space? That was kind of just the past repeating itself?
Yeah.
That is where Abon actually is. He's in there.
Oh.
So, they're looking for the Book of Abon, which Arachne had, and was then subsequently taken by a guy named Noah. Nobody knows who Noah is, nobody knows how he got there, but he's there with the book. And he ends up capturing Kid inside the book.
Ooh.
Think of it like a big Pokeball that can hold a whole bunch of shit in it.
Oh.
He just sucks him right inside.
Kind
and right
of
before
like...
he does, he throws Liz and Patty away so they can get away.
Kind of like... Oh, crap. What was that kid show where they would jump into books all the time?
Oh.
Blue's Clues. Where they would, like, jump into the book.
I mean, that's more willingly. This one was not willingly.
So this was kind of like unwillingly Blue's Clues.
If you want to think of it that way, sure. Just far more painful, I would guess.
Okay.
Anyway, Kid's inside the book. This leaves Maka and Sol to fight Arachne directly. Also, the Kishin never shows up in Season 2.
Was he in at all in Season 1? Like, manga Season 1.
He came out the same way he did in the manga. Like, Season 1 is almost exactly the same.
Okay.
In the manga. Like, that does not change.
So they destroy him earlier.
He does not get destroyed. He just doesn't show up. He is still missing and nobody knows where he's at.
Oh shit, that's not good.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's an evil demon of madness that's penetrating an aura all around the earth. That's not a good thing to be on the loose.
No, it's not.
But nobody knows where he's at.
Oh, no.
So, here's where we get at, right? Maka and Sol versus Arachne. Here's Arachne's plan. Her plan revolves around making herself at one with madness itself, and using said madness to then take over the Kishin.
Okay.
In doing so, she drops her body and becomes nothing but a soul.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts spreading madness by spinning her soul out like a web.
Oh.
Now here's the thing. The way Maka and Sol defeat her is literally Sol plucking at the strings that is the spiderweb of her soul and using music and playing it through that spiderweb.
Huh.
Now, Medusa went with Sol and Maka at the same time, and Medusa is just put down flat during this fight because she cannot stand up, especially in an 8-year-old's body, to this madness. Once Maka and Sol take care of Arachne, we have Medusa taking Arachne's vacated body and possessing that, and leaving the 8-year-old girl alone.
Oh.
And she then escapes. Medusa's gone. Yay. She's gone off to do her thing again. Also, let me also point out this. Krona, when she goes to leave the school, never comes back. She leaves. Straight up gone. And rejoins Medusa.
Wow, this is different.
Oh yeah. So, Krona is with Medusa. Medusa now has a new body with black hair now. Sol and Maka have defeated Arachne. Sol gets to eat Arachne's soul. God, that's weird. Sol gets to eat Arachne's soul. That's great. And becomes a death sight.
Okay.
Also gains the power of flight, which is pretty cool.
From getting the soul?
Yes, because the witches' souls have a, like, transformative quality to them,
Mhm.
which just enhances what a scythe, like, what the death scythes can do.
Not fly, jump good.
No, Blackstar can jump good. All right? Maka and Soul can straight up fly.
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean, he turns into a scythe, Maka rides him like a broom, but there's, like, energy wings coming out his back.
What?
Like the back end scythe.
What?
Yeah, no, it's pretty fucking cool.
Yes!
Like, it's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. By the way, here, I'm also gonna give you this for a quick second, because you get to see the redesign that Blackstar and Tsubaki get, in the manga, after the whole castle thing. They look pretty sweet.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, Kid gets captured by Noah and his underling Gopher. They also get the chainsaw dude on their side, so he can get his own revenge for Maka and Soul killing Arachne.
Oh, that chainsaw dude was my favorite villain.
Oh, he gets even more fucked up as his arc, like as his personal stuff goes on. Alright, so you had a minor blackout. That was fun. Anyway, here's something I forgot to mention, right? So, 3 characters also get a bit more in-depth look. They're like the B team. You remember Killick, Ox, and Kim at all, or no?
Oh, yes, them.
So the black guy with the pot of fire and thunder fists. The guy Ox who has like those spiky horns and the spiral glasses and the staff, lightning staff. And then Kim who's got the flamethrower weapon, right?
Yes.
Kim's a witch.
Oh. What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
She's a witch that abandoned the witch coven and witch
Oh.
society.
Oh.
Because her magic is healing. It's not destructive stuff like the others have. So she felt she didn't fit in. Also, Blackstar adopts the little witch that, the little chameleon witch that Mifune was guarding.
Oh.
So he more or less adopts her as her guardian.
Oh.
But yeah, we find out that Kim is a witch. For a little bit of time, I think she jumps side and starts working for Arachne for a bit. Until, like, she ends up coming back over to Shibusen, the school. And Shinigami's like, alright, look, we'll make some exceptions. Kim's got some good magic on her side that doesn't lean toward destructive capabilities, and if we keep her around the Chameleon Witch, maybe that'll influence her to be good as well, to have less destructive qualities. So that happens. They get more, like, build on top of them, and they start working along with the rest to try and save Kid. To the point where they find... So, also, here's the other thing I think, that you remember when Kid went to look for that book on Abon in the library?
Yes.
Right? Remember how she thinks Medusa took the book out?
She didn't.
She did not.
Who did?
Who else has an M in their name?
Mary.
No.
Maka.
There you go. So apparently her dad was lending her his pass so she could get level 4 books that she should not be able to get.
Oh. Did you notice? And this was more of a freeze frame thing, but they had books. Breakfast with Excalibur. Lunch with Excalibur.
I did not pause it, but I thought about doing that. But yes, I did think about that. I didn't realize it was specifically with Excalibur.
No, but one of the books, right next to one of the books Kid was taking out, Breakfast with Excalibur.
I feel like just reading that name, he'd have the Excalibur face.
So what
Until
is
he
this?
moved on to the next one.
What is this huge twist you were going to tell me about?
Huge twist.
About
so
the-
yeah, Maka's the one that took out that book.
Oh, okay.
Now, she used her dad's pass in order to take out those books that she should not be able to take out anyway.
Okay.
She signed it M because she knew she was doing something wrong. Turns out the book she took out was a manuscript for the Book of Abon.
Oh.
So, because it's a manuscript, it's connected. So, they also capture the Frog Witch, which Blackstar does on an off mission.
What about the Mouse Witch?
She's still at large
Oh.
at that point, along with the werewolf.
Okay.
Now, remember when I mentioned that whole cabaret club thing that was going on in Death's office area.
Oh, yes?
2 of those girls in there were witches, and the other one was Blair that they brought in.
I can see that.
Now, here's the thing. They plan to use those 3 witches in order to get the rest of, like, the kids into the Book of Avon, and then down to where Kid is and get him out.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we, like, get flashes of, like, this, of Noah, and it turns out the dude is just obsessed with collecting everything and becoming the god of everything. So everything goes in the book. Also, his, like, little underling Gopher is literally obsessed with him and will do everything he says. So, long story short, everybody gets sent into the book with these witches that were captured, as well as Kim being used to make it happen. They get sent in. The book is essentially the 7 levels of hell, starting with lust. Now,
of course.
Well, here's the best part, right? It's not the way you think. Now, all of them get gender swapped as soon as they get into the first level.
What?
Yeah. Now, also, let me point this out. There's another character in there who's called Talk, or Table of Contents. He's the guide in the book.
Okay.
He's guiding them through all the way down until they can get to, like, the 6th level. But first level is lust. Everybody gets gender swapped. And once they move on, Talk basically tells them, yeah, the weight of your sin means how long you're going to keep that form. So whoever's the horniest out of you will be the last one to change back. Who's the most horny?
Soul?
No.
Death?
Nope.
Maka?
Nope.
Okay, I give up then.
It's Tsubaki.
How?
It was between Liz and Tsubaki.
How?
I don't know, I guess because they suppress it so much? Alright. So, yeah, they start going through all of them to the point where, like, I think they hit Gluttony, and it's literally Killick, Black Star, and Patty who are just like, we're gonna eat everything here.
Oh, because Patty's
There's like a big pig
appetite.
demon that shows up at one point, and he's like, I'm gonna eat all of you. And like, fuck that, we're eating you. Black Star like punches him in the gut. Like one of them cuts off an arm. They literally flambe the arm and then start munching on it. Oh god. But yeah. Anyway, like it's stupid and it's great, but they keep moving on through the books until they get to like level 6, and it's like, well, we can't go any further unless we get an invitation. Because the thing that's in the 7th layer of the book where Kid is at is something that transcends like the god of death and even the Kishin itself.
Oh.
It's the great old one of power, or at least that's what it's called.
Cthulhu.
You could call it that, but it grants power to those who seek it. However, since Kid's been tempted by it, he gets his own madness form. Much like the Black Blood, where he starts obsessing over the perfect simplicity of nothingness, the perfect symmetry. And Black Star is the one that gets the next invitation, the one seeking power, as it said. And he essentially starts unlocking, like, that, his clan insanity. So he also gets a bit of an unlock with that. Anyway, he and Kid fight. They both realize, well, this is real fucking stupid. If nothingness is the perfect order, there's nothing to order at the end of it. And Black Star is essentially like, it's pointless to have power with, like, for the sake of power. You need power in order to protect something. They more or less beat what I assume was meant to be a trial by this thing. And they both end up getting to leave at that point. Also, Blair was with them, and Blair became a very, very horny cat. That was male.
Of course.
But let me also point out that by the time they get to level 6, technically it is Blair that is the most horny because she's still a tomcat. But out of the actual, like, human characters, it's Tsubaki that's last. But yeah, they get Kid out of the book. Kid's got this new skill now, and the next part of it is then, I believe, they have to take down Noah immediately after that. And Kid connects the second line of Soza or Senzu that he has. Now, here's the thing, right? I'll go into this now. You remember what happened when he did that in the anime?
He went extreme gun mode.
Not Kid himself. There was something else that happened.
Remind me.
Shinigami's mask cracked.
Oh.
That happens every time Kid connects a line. And when he connects the third line, he becomes the next Death God. And Death himself dies.
Oh.
There can only be one Death God.
Oh.
So yeah, his lines are a lot more important than you think.
Yeah, they really shoved it under the rug in the anime.
Yeah. Also, hold on, let me just go ahead and... So while Kid was captured, he would sometimes be let out of the book, but he's still bound and chained and stuff. So because because he keeps taunting Gopher gets really upset, and he starts doing things to piss him off. Like, at first it was just trying to beat the shit out of him, which, didn't really do anything as far as Kid was concerned. Yeah, he got bloody, but he didn't care, because Gopher was at one point sent to kill Maka, and he started mocking him, making fun of him because he couldn't kill Maka.
Mm-hmm.
Gopher gets really upset. And you want to know what he then realizes he should do in order to cause pain to Kid?
Make things out of place.
Well, here's the one thing that happens that makes him realize this. Kid starts freaking out because the frown Gopher makes, one side is longer than the other. And this right here is what results because Gopher realizes the problem and what happens with Kid. Oh, also, I should also put this in here too, because apparently at some point Noah captured Excalibur, and he was in the Wrath section of the book. Just the reaction from Black Star on the side is beautiful. Oh man, but anyway. So, here's the next part after they rescue Kid, kill Noah. Gopher manages to get away with the Book of Avon, which actually has the brew in it as well, I forgot to mention. Since Arachne got the real thing, and I don't think it ever got replaced. But anyway, the next thing is, well, let's find Krona. Turns out Krona's causing a whole bunch of mischief under Medusa's influence. And Medusa's trying to perfect the Black Blood. And the whole idea is once she does, Krona herself, himself can become a Kishin. And replace the current Kishin. Like, absorb and replace it. And then through Krona, Medusa can then manipulate a Kishin.
Oh.
However, this doesn't work out to the point where Krona kills Medusa.
Oh.
Krona's gone more insane as this time has gone on. I don't think I really need to say that, but that's what happens. She goes more insane.
Yeah.
And the thing that triggers her to kill Medusa is that Medusa starts acting kindly toward her.
Oh.
Where it's like, I'm sorry I put you through all of this hell. I'm sorry I made you do all these things, but my Black Blood experiment is nearly complete. You won't have to do much more, to the point where she gives Krona a hug, and it triggers her immediately. It's like, I don't understand. You can't say all these nice things. This is not who you are. And just stab. Repeated stabbings. Until there is literally nothing but a smear on the floor.
Oh.
Yep. So, remember that church that Maka met Krona in?
Yes.
They meet there one last time as they're searching for her. And Krona then leaves. She also has flight, apparently, too. Because of Ragnarok's wings.
Not fly, jump good.
No, Black Star does that. To the point, because when he uses Tsubaki, that scarf you see on him turns black and shadowy, and he literally just uses that as, a pole vaulting tool. It's literally like a little foot that just keeps going around, and just jumping with it. Maka's flying along on her scythe, and Black Star's just jumping there next to her. He's there in one panel, gone in the next, then back up in the next panel. It's like, come on, let me fly with you. This is getting annoying. I've broken 4 roofs already. Guess where the Kishin is? Because that's what they go to next, because that's where Krona leaves to go.
I don't know.
He's on the moon.
So everybody can breathe in space now.
Here's the thing, and this is the interesting part. The moon isn't actually in space. It's like in the highest reaches of the atmosphere.
Oh.
Like, that's the way it's portrayed. Like, they get above the cloud line, and they can basically get to it from there.
Oh.
Like, they get a death airship built up to go after it.
Huh.
Also, here's where I'm going to point this out now, because I've kind of let it go until now, and I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but the person that killed BJ, the assassin, is Justin.
So he's evil?
Mm-hmm. Justin, the guillotine-based death scythe. The guy who is constantly priest-like.
Listening to music.
Constantly listening to music.
Oh.
He's the one that's on the Kishin side.
Wow.
He has gone completely mad, to the point where he kills another death scythe. Who's from Latin America, I believe, called Tezca Tiploca or something like that. And Tezca is basically a mirror. He's a mirror death scythe.
Wow.
Yeah, no, Justin kills him. Justin goes to the moon to protect Kishin. And you remember that clown that we saw at one point?
Yeah?
Yeah, that one is a mechanical clown. However, that was a fabrication, a fake version, or maybe the better way to put it is an incomplete reproduction, let's say. Because clowns are also their own species that are created from...
Yakuza?
No, unfortunately. But a corporeal version, like a corporeal manifestation of the Kishin's madness.
Oh.
And they all have different looks and styles to them.
Okay.
So, it gets to the point where, like, shit, because of the madness, the clowns keep regenerating each time we kill them. What do? Well, we gotta make a deal with the witches. Remember that soul protect ability they have? The way Medusa infiltrated into the school and became their nurse?
Yeah?
We put soul protect around the clowns, and it blocks the madness from getting to them and regenerating them.
Oh.
So the school needs to work with the witches, who hate them for hunting them down, which they do manage to do, shockingly enough, and then then their plan is to then, once the army of clowns is gone, take down the Kishin.
And what's this big final fight that's better than Mechs?
Well, I mean, the whole better fight I was talking about was actually the Maka and Arachne fight. Like, it's a more interesting way of doing it because Arachne's not just offed by the Kishin real quick.
Oh, okay.
However, here's the big thing I forgot about until I reread this. So, who does the Kishin remind you of when you actually see his face?
I don't know.
Doesn't he kind of look like Kid?
Are they brothers?
They are brothers.
Wow.
And you want to know why they're brothers?
Okay.
Because they're both fragments of Shinigami's soul.
Wow.
The Kishin was created by shoving all of Shinigami's fears into a single fragment, so that he could be a better death god. And thus, the paranoia and the insanity comes from him. Kid was created to be a child and grow up, and learn these things naturally.
Wow.
But the fight basically ends with Kid connecting that final line, Maka, Soul, Blackstar, and Tsubaki, as well as Liz and Patty working together to take him down. He connects that final line, becomes a full-fledged Shinigami, replaces Death, and he dies because of it.
Okay.
They end up killing the Kishin, and Kid takes over his father's position.
Is Kid as bubbly as Death was?
I'm gonna say no because Death literally acted stupidly bubbly because of the fact that he used to be super serious and scare people.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that from the anime.
Yeah, that's the reason he acts stupid and has a completely non-menacing mask.
And just wait about 10 years, Kid will act that way down the line.
But yeah, the whole end of the fight was essentially just, who's going to become the real Shinigami? Is Kid going to become a full-fledged one? Or will the Kishin take over and become the next Shinigami?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is a real interesting fight, too.
So I guess that wraps up both the anime and the manga discussion of Soul Eater?
More or less.
Yep, we went a little bit longer than usual.
Yeah, I don't think it warranted, a deep dive in the sense of just discussing the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a completely and utterly different thing.
Yeah. So you got an extra 20 minutes. Yay!
Oh boy!
Yep. So, Ryan, would you watch this 51 episode series? I know it's a large number as compared to some of the others we're giving.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at like the, I don't know, I'll have to see the animation doesn't look, that good, I guess.
A lot of the budget goes into the insanity effects.
Yes, I would agree with that.
That's where a lot of the budget in animation goes into. Then those look amazing.
And Excalibur. Excalibur 2.
I mean, Excalibur's just funny.
Yes, Excalibur is the greatest.
Oh, I forgot to mention this, alright. Krona does try to absorb the Kishin. Unfortunately, the Kishin, after like a couple of minutes, re-overtakes him.
Oh.
So yeah, Kishin now has absorbed Krona.
Okay.
Yes. So, we've covered blood. We've covered people who can turn into weapons. We've encountered monsters who will eat people. But next week will be the biggest fear of all. Growing up. Grab your guitar. It's that time again. So until then, laters.
Little Busters, here we come.
Yeah.